Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. In today's mini ramble, a new series, Kim and I, Kim from CaliKim DIY, are going to just give you 10 tips off the top of our head. So let's look around the garden, see what we can kind of help people out with.
Sounds good.
My first tip is really when you're growing your transplants, these have been out for months. These are plants that I have not gotten into the garden. You can see that the pepper plants are sort of bonsai plants. They're really small. They're starting to fruit. Look at all the banana peppers on there. Is you really want to time this so that you get your transplants to size, but then you quickly get them in the ground. If not, they get root bound, they start to flower, and they can be problematic.
When it gets hot in the summertime, your cool weather crops are going to start to bolt, shoot up this tall stalk from the middle. The leaves will be bitter. They'll flower and go to seed. You can collect the seeds for future plantings. You can actually plant peppers fairly close together. These are maybe about 6 inches apart, which is perfectly fine. The peppers really like to kind of touch at the top, the leaves, and the benefit of that is during the hot sun, the pepper leaves will actually shade the pepper fruit so that you avoid getting sun scald on your peppers.
Yep, keep them close and you'll get a lot more production and you'll surprise yourself. Experiment. You know, these are right, 6, 8 inches. You know, a foot is perfect, but really cram them in there because you can see just how well they're doing. This is where I'm growing strawberries. I like growing in vertical towers. It's a great way to save space. Strawberries are still coming out. There are 2 types of strawberries basically. Actually, there's alpines, but I hate them, so I'm not going to talk about them. But you can get June bearing strawberries, and they produce kind of once, and then you get all the strawberries at once. And then you have everbearing, and they will continue to produce more often through the season. Mix up different varieties in your containers, and you get a more continuous supply of strawberries. My bonus tip is make sure that you water your container plants regularly.
Plants, Gary.
Yes. So I'm letting this die out on purpose. These were some cool crops. This is going to be planted up with something different. But container plants dry up much more quickly than you might think, especially when the plants are to size. So water more often. Your plants are going to do well, obviously, in containers. But the real tip is water your garden more often than you think. It really will take your plants from kind of surviving to really thriving. And that might be 3 or 4 times a week, soaking the top 4 inches of the soil, giving it a deep watering. You have to kind of experiment. But watering makes a huge difference. Here's one more strawberry tip.
Your strawberry plants will produce runners, and the runners will start to grow little roots on the end, and you can root these runners for free plants. So it's a great way to grow a ton of strawberries. Just press it into the soil.
Put something on there, right, to keep it in place.
Yeah, and after a while it'll root and you'll have a free plant, and you can connect it or disconnect it from the mother plant.
Perfect. I love trellising. One great way to find trellises is to go to yard sales. This is a ladder. Was actually maybe $10, $15, but you can use it to trellis different crops. Those are watermelon plants or seeds that I put in. They've actually germinated and grown their own. So you don't have to put in transplants. You can do seeds. This is something I just make. It's stuff I find at Home Depot. And the coolest thing, this is made out of railing from a deck. I put a hinge on it and it's super sturdy and heavy. So I'm using that for the watermelons and for some cantaloupe, and I just keep kind of trellising upwards. Be creative, kind of build your own trellises and find different things. It's a lot less expensive to do it that way. And look at the beautiful
crazy
watermelon. And that's almost doubling in size like every other day or so. So that'll be ready, well, probably won't be ready for a couple of weeks.
And you can support these with like pieces of pantyhose or old t-shirts if they get too heavy for the stem, just to keep it in place.
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna have to do that. These are not dwarf watermelons that I'm growing here. This is a cucumber transplant. Started it by seed. After it germinated, 4 weeks in the container, you quickly want to get it out into the garden, and it looks beautiful. It's taking off. Here's my mature cucumber plant. Yeah, and when this one, it's just going to get beat up here and it's going to die off. So the other tip that I've talked about a lot, there's a nice cucumber too, is you can give this a lot of care. It's going to produce, it's going to do well, but eventually here it's going to die off. Have those backup plants ready, and don't kind of love your plant when it's about to die. You just got to rip it out and get other plants into the ground. My kale plant looks wonderful up top, but as you get closer to the leaf,
these white flies under here, if you give it a little tap, you see all these bugs popping up. Now a great tip for kale is when it starts looking like this, what you can do is just strip the leaves off or cut it off at the stem And then new growth will start to come out. It'll be nice, green, healthy growth, and you'll have some nice baby kale for salads within a couple of weeks. So don't pull your plant out when it looks like this. Just cut it off at the stem or pull the leaves off.
Or get rid of the leaves. And here we get the cabbage looper. That a lot of people get that. So I'm still trying to save this plant, but right, a big infestation of whiteflies, you can't get rid of it. Do exactly what you said. And then sometimes you'll just get so many cabbage worms that will chew holes in this. It's just not worth really trying to save the stem. This will come back. The cabbage loopers will be removed when you yank off the leaves. I'm still putting peppers into containers. This is one of my towers. An easy way to save money is to just use any basic topsoil. It's less expensive. 50% topsoil, 50% peat moss, mix it together. It makes a great container mix. You're going to save a lot of money. You can use it in your raised beds. Check out, some of the videos on my channel. It'll tell you how to put fertilizer in there and use it. But a 50-50 mix, save a lot of money.
Next tip is, a lot of people don't know there's two different types of tomato plant. This is a red cherry plant, which is an indeterminate type. Those plants get quite large, will grow and produce up until frost kills it in the late fall. But you can get some determinate plants in the ground right now, and those grow to a set size, produce all their fruit at once, or usually go from seed to harvest fairly quickly. So that way you have fresh new plants in the ground at the end of the summer when these are starting to slow down in production.
It's important to check your plants just about every day. This is an outbreak of a leaf spot. When you see little brown circles, they're kind of concentric circles. It's like circle within a circle within a circle. But when you get really close to them, hopefully it's showing up here, when they have that yellow halo around there, that means your fungus is active and it's slowly spreading up my tomato plant. I was hoping, you can see it right up here, I was hoping that the plant would take care of itself. This is the time when you see something like this, remove the damaged leaves, spray it with your antifungal. I'm going to hit this with hydrogen peroxide. That will clean the leaf and that will take care of the leaf spot.
In the summertime, when the temperatures get over 75 or 80 degrees, your cool weather herbs like the cilantro here will start to flower. No big deal. It loves the cool weather, not the hot weather. So let it flower and leave it in for the bees. They absolutely love it.
Thanks so much for watching. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com and good luck in your gardens. Thanks for watching.